Okay, so chapter 9 is going to be all about time and billing. Now, once I've mentioned this again before that, this is where the use of customer/jobs, right? The use of keeping track of your income and your expenses and assigning them to a specific customer or a job is more prevalent in this chapter, because this is how we're going to be linking our bills or expenses to these particular customers. And what we're going to do is we're going to essentially have them cover the cost of what they want in services or products that they want from us as a company. So if you're following along with me in this book, make sure that you are using time billing 21. Okay, and let's talk about reimbursable expenses. Okay, so for any reason that you offer some kind of form of payment or some kind of means of being reimbursed, this is what this chapter is about. So whether it's being reimbursed for the time that you spent on a project, reimbursing you for miles that you've drove out to go see a client, or even reimbursing you for expenses that you paid for in advance and then you're going to have the company reimburse you for. In this context, we're going to be using all of those, but we're going to apply to those expenses and have the customer cover them. So that's what this reimbursement section is about. It's not towards the company itself. However, they're similar in aspect, right? In concept as well. This is now we're actually going to be linking our customers to go ahead and pay for these expenses so the company is going to pay for it first, and then they're going to have the customer pay for it to cover the cost. All right, to reimburse the company that's already made the expense in the first place. So how would you be able to use this? So once again, you can reimburse for the following account types. You could do it for any current asset. You're going to be doing for any cost of goods sold, expense, and any other expense. You can also do it for assets as well. And that's one of the things that we're going to be taking a look at. Now, here's one thing that you do need to know is that you cannot reimburse for income. Now, that's what the book says right here. You can't reimburse an income. But in this context, when we treat our reimbursements, we are collecting it as income versus as a reimbursable expense. But in this kind of context, right, don't get confused that when we use the reimbursable income account, we're not reimbursing the income, okay? All right, let's make that clear. We're just using that account to reimburse the expense that occurred. So you're covering the expense and we're receiving it as income, not reimbursing the income itself. Okay? You can't, and in context, you could think of it this way too. Can I have somebody reimburse for something that I'm going to gain income out of? Can someone reimburse me for that? That's in context and reality. No, you can't do that. You can't reimburse an income. If you earn something, you can't reimburse it for it.
That's like double dipping, right?
Correct. That's correct. And the way that I'm saying it, it may not make sense, but in context, it's exactly what you said. It's like double dipping, right? How can you earn an income and get reimbursed for that income? That's precisely why I'm explaining it in this way, because we will be using an account called reimbursable expense, and that's going to be considered the way that we collect our income for reimbursing for that expense. Okay, so I just want to make sure you guys understand there's a fine difference between the account that we're using versus actually reimbursing for the income account itself. Okay. So with that being said, let's go ahead and take our first look at an example here is that we're going to look at how we actually set up these accounts. Now, in order to set it up, we need to toggle it in through our preferences once again. So we need to activate our time and billing tracking, all right? So that's pretty straightforward, right? You're going to go up to the edit and you're going to go to preferences, and in this case it's going to be the very last feature on here, so you may have to scroll down to see it. So you have time and expenses. You click on that, make sure you are on company, and this is the section that you need to go ahead and pay attention to. So the bottom half of this window, where how are we going to do this? So first one, it says you want to mark all of these expenses as billable, okay? Now, what does that even mean? It will make more sense when we dive into looking at the exercises, okay? Because every time we link a customer/job, the question that will always pop up is, do you want to push or pass that expense along to have your customer be responsible to pay for it? And that's what it means to be billable, okay? And in this case, if you are frequently using the assign the customer/job for that particular expense, then yes, you should definitely have mark all expenses to be billable, okay? Now, if it's just a once in a blue moon where, hey, I bought something for a customer, I'm just going to have them pay for just one time, and it's a one-time ordeal, then you're better off to not making this marked as a billable. By default, it is not marked that you're going to mark all expenses. So this is a feature that I is showing you that you need to turn on, because in this chapter, we will be billing every single, in this exercise, every person that we assign, we're going to bill them. So in this case, I'm going to make sure that everything is billed. Okay? Then we're going to go down below, which kind of furthers in depth of what we want to collect, especially how we collect these reimbursable expenses. So the next one is going to be track all reimbursable expenses as income. Yes, because we are going to make the expense first, and then we can never undo expenses, okay? So in the best way to collect that money back is to collect it as income. So that is what I am going to do here. I'm not reimbursing my income account. I'm collecting my reimbursable expenses as income. So it's going to come back to me as income, right? And then mark all expenses as billable, which we already have that. All right, checked, marked. And then the next section is going to be what happens when there's a certain situation where you need to mark up your customers for any reason. And in this case, if I'm going to be making an expense, for example, if I'm paying for a service in advance and I'm going to have the customer reimburse me for it, I'm going to mark up my prices. And the standard here is going to be 20%. Now, again, depending on whatever item that you decide to have marked up, you want to be very generous, not to over market, okay? You definitely don't want to go over that 75% line, just because if you're going to be marking up that price, you can scare your customers and they don't want to do the service. So oftentimes, right, we go to the casino, right, because we want something for convenience, right? They can charge a high price, and that can scare customers away to back out of the project or back out of the services. So especially when we have those, ATMs, right? For example, an ATM at the casino, you go over there, they charge you a percentage, or they mark up the price because they're charging you for the convenience. And in this case, when I went last time, it was $10. And that scared me away. And I was like, okay, no, I'm done with this place. So I left. So that's the reason right here that you want to be very generous about this, because you don't want to raise your prices to the point where your customers can be scared away and back out of your services, okay? Because your goal is to earn money, but you want to be careful, because if the customer's not willing to spend that dollar, then that dollar is going to go to someone else, okay? Someone else with a cheaper price, okay? All right, and what account am I going to be linking this with? I'm going to automatically associate this to a markup income. So once again, these are already pre-made accounts that are in the purpose for this exercise. So for any reason that you are going to charge your customers more than what originally cost you, then you want to have set up some kind of markup income account, because this, again, is your profit percentage. This is extra money that you are asking from the customer to pay for the convenience of buying a service for them. All right, and I'm going to choose that account. Once I have that all set up, I can go ahead and click OK or save. All right. So that's the first thing you have to do, is make sure that you have your billable feature on. Okay. All right. Now, the next thing is, now we're going to take a look at how to utilize items, or excuse me, in this case, utilize accounts and link them with those reimbursable expenses. So in this case, right, this example is saying, here's our first expense that I'm going to consider as a feature that could be used as an reimbursable expense. And that's going to be the postage and delivery. So in this case, right, if a customer decides to ask us to purchase something for them, right, and they're going to charge me for shipping and tax or shipping and handling, I'm not going to pay for that. I'm going to have the customer pay for that, and I'm going to mark them up for that, because I still want to make a percentage profit out of that. So in this case, I'm going to go to my chart of accounts, okay? I'm going to go ahead and locate that postage and delivery expense account, because I'm going to make this reimbursable for my customers who decide to use me as a middleman to get them the services that they need. And if it costs money to ship out, I'm going to have them reimburse me for that. So here it is, postage and delivery. Now, once again, you can't double click on the chart of accounts, because it's going to automatically run a report. You need to either go down to the bottom of this where it says account, and you're going to need to edit this account, okay? All right. If you double click it, it's going to send you to a quick report. So you have to be very careful on each page and platform that you use, because some places you can double click to edit, some places you can't. And the chart of accounts is one of those places where you cannot double click on. Okay. So here I opened up, I'm going to edit this account. And in this case, I have this little window right here that says track reimbursable expenses as an income account. So in this case, if I ever use this account, I'm going to treat this as a reimbursable expense. And that's exactly what you're going to put. So in this income account, it's going to be for reimbursable expenses. Okay? Which, it's not an expense, it's actually an income account. But hence, the wording there is what's going to confuse and throw people off. Okay? So right there, I have a reimbursable expense that I'm going to collect as income when the customers pay for it. And I'm going to go ahead, click Save and Close. Okay, so now what I just did there is that if I ever use this postage and delivery, it's going to automatically link it to a reimbursable income that I can collect. Okay? And our first example we're going to take a look at is going to write a check to express delivery, okay? And I believe we're doing, we're going to write a check. Let's see. Okay. So let's say, let's follow along. So in the book here, it says you're going to write a check for the reimbursable amount. So everybody on page 330, okay? And we're going to fill this out. So in this case, I did this on the 3rd. We're writing check number 300, and it's for $20, okay? So once again, it's going to be on the 3rd of February. Okay, and I believe it's for the year 2021, so I have to pull this forward. Oh, sorry, 2025. So I'm going to pull this forward and make sure that I actually confirm that it is the correct date. And it's going to be for $20. Okay. Now, who am I going to make this expense for? So here I am doing this expense. I'm paying for this expense out of my own pocket. All right. And I'm going to write this out to express delivery because in this case, I'm creating the expense and I'm going to go ahead and say this is a document delivery to Maria Cruz. Okay. All right. Let's make sure. Actually, it's, oh, okay, Miranda's Corner. I knew it. I knew though. It's not Maria Cruz. It's Miranda's Corner. Okay. Miranda's Corner. Right? So here, Miranda wanted something for me and she couldn't get to my location. So she had me deliver a document to her. And because she had me do that, I had a third-party vendor called Express Delivery Services to go ahead and ship out those document papers, okay? And that is what it is right here. Now, in this case, my expense account is going to be for the postage and delivery, right? Which we know because we set this up to saying that if this was ever used for a customer and we link it, that billable feature is going to become into and turn into a billable expense, which is going to come back to me as income. All right. And we're going to charge her $20. Okay. And we're going to go ahead and link it here to Miranda's Corner and watch this. Now you have this little box feature right here where it says billable question mark. And it's checked mark because that's what I had the settings set to that make any person that I gonna pass the expense along to and have them pay for it, make it billable to them. All right. So that is this right here. And again, the class is Walnut Creek. All right. Everything looks good. All right. So now I can go ahead and save and close. And then now I wrote my checkout for helping out Miranda's Corner to get their documents. So then, after I've already created that expense, now the next thing I got to do is now I have to go bill my customer for that. All right? So I'm going to create an invoice for Miranda's Corner. Okay? And once I do that, QuickBooks is automatically going to notify me that, hey, you have some billable expenses that are linked to this person. And then here you have two options. Are you going to select either the choices or are you going to just exclude it? Now, in this case, if this feature does not pop up, okay, let's say this feature did not pop up, right? I can manually do it by going up to the top of the invoice where it says add time and cost. If I click that, that same window is going to pop up with the billable expenses. Okay, so this is the window, right? And this is going to be called the billable window. All right, which gives you gives you 4 categories that you can bill your customers for. All right, first one we have time, okay, and we'll see that in the second half of the chapter. All right, there's things that you could do. Expenses is what we're going to be focusing on, right? Because we charge them for an expense, right? Because we pay for postage and delivery. So now we're going to pass that expense along to Miranda's Corner. All right. The next category is mileage. So once again, you can even bill your customers saying, hey, you made me drive all the way out here. Then if you did, then I'm going to have you reimburse my employee for having to drive out there for the purpose of doing your photo shoot, right? And then you have items. So then this section right here we'll talk about next, where we talk about purchasing items for our particular client, okay? So in this case, right, the window that we need to actually be in, or the tab that we need to be in, is in expenses. As you can see, we got time, there's nothing there. Expenses, we have 1. And when I click on this, now it shows me that exact postage and delivery charge that I recently just wrote up. And in this case, I'm going to click on that item there, okay? Now there's a couple neat features about this as well, is that because I just paid in an expense, and because Miranda's Corner asked me to send them the documents, like an actual physical copy of the documents, I had to pay $20. So in this case, I'm gonna have my customer pay me more than $20. I'm going to mark up that value by 20%, and it's going to be collected under the markup income, right? Because I'm saying, because I had to call this delivery services, I had to buy the postage stamps and send it out, I'm going to charge 20% more than the $20 that it cost me to do. So in this case, if by having this selected down here, because I chose that I'm going to mark up the price by 20%, therefore I'm going to be charging Miranda's Corner $24 for the convenience of me having to do the work for this person, okay? And here's something that you must do. You definitely don't want to tell your customers you're marking them up. So you definitely want to make sure that you click on this print selected items as one line item. Okay? So on their form, it's just going to say that we have a reimbursable expense. It's not going to tell them that I marked them up, because once again, you don't want to scare your customers with all these hidden fees. All right? And that's what a lot of companies do. They throw in a deal, they tell you one thing, once you receive the bill, all of a sudden it's a lot higher. Okay, because that's how companies, they throw in their hidden fees, is because they do these features right here where it doesn't show up on the invoice itself. Okay, so now that I have my print all selected items as one line, right? I'm going to go ahead and click OK, since I already have that item in there, right? Now, because this is our company file, it's going to show up on our side that this is what's going to happen. You're going to be charging this customer $24 because you added a 20% markup, okay? However, that's on our end. But let's go ahead. And so I'm going to say thank you. Thank you for your services. Okay. Thank you for your services. And then I'm going to go ahead and for the memo, I'm going to go ahead and say document delivery charges. Okay. So once that's all good to go, right, on the classes Walnut Creek, okay. Once that's good to go, I'm going to go ahead and save it up here at the top. I'm not going to click the bottom to save and close because I need to stay on this page. So now that I see that this is what's on my end, right? If I go ahead and click on that print preview, so if I want to print that invoice, okay, it's going to give me this message and I'll click OK. And once you get this window right here, you can preview it, all right, and check this out. I only billed him for that document delivery, and that's it for $24. Okay? Nowhere on there does it tell me that I marked up this price. Nowhere on there tells this person that I charged them tax or anything like that. In this case, it's a service. It's not charged. They don't charge tax. So in this case, on the invoice or the invoice that I'm sending out, it's not going to show anything in regards to that 20% markup. It's just going to say your flat rate is $24, and that's it. All right. So that's the neat feature that QuickBooks can do to help you, kind of not lie to your customers, but at the same time, you don't want to have your customers come up and call you, say, why is my document delivery marked up 20%? You definitely don't want to hear that. All right. So instead of listing out everything that you want on there, you definitely want to try to, hide all that information. So there you go. All right. And that was taking a look at our very, very, very first reimbursable expense. Okay. Any questions here? Okay. So here we got to take a look at the preview here. So yes, you can run your reports. In this case, this is just a regular profit and loss. This one, you could read for yourself. It's not too much. It's just showing you what happens when you see that reimbursable income account. It basically increased because the person is going to pay for it. All right. So now we're going to be talking about two-sided items, okay? Now, if you actually notice this, two-sided items allow you to link more than one account to each other, right? It allows you to take an item and be able to be flexible to use it on a multiple different forms. So you can use it on a purchase order, right? Which is directly related to your vendors. Or you can use it directly to your sales form, which can be, your revenues, your means of revenues. So in this case, we've already seen a hidden, type of two-sided item. So anything that you sell, a product, not a service, because you can't buy services. If you sell a product, that's automatically right there a two-sided item. Because not only are you linking that as an expense account, you're linking that to your income account, and you're linking that to your inventory asset, right? You can use that. You could use that item on a purchase order or a bill, but at the same time, you can also use that on a sales form. So that's the definition of what a two-sided item is. It allows you to link multiple accounts, but more so for your expense and for your income accounts. All right. And we're going to go ahead and take a look. So how can you use two-sided items and what can you use them for? All right. First one is you could use it for reimbursable expenses, which we just saw a great example, right? Our first example was us having to pay for the document delivery, right? The postage delivery services. We had to pay that in advance. And then we turned around and we had the customer reimburse us for that expense. And that's exactly the very first one that we used that item for. So that item, the postage and delivery, is a great example of a two-sided item. Okay? Second one's going to be for retail item profitability. So once again, in this case, you could use it for income, right? To gain profitability, which in this case, it's very similar to the what do you call it? When you sell a product to a customer, that's going to be the use for that one. All right. And then the third one is going to be custom orders. Yes, right? When a customer decides to ask something in particular from us, right? Act as if we're the middleman, right? They're going to ask us to purchase something for them. So then in this case, we're going to take a look at an example of a custom order and how we can use a two-sided item to go ahead and get the expense for it, but also at the same time convert that expense into an income account. All right. And then the last one is going to be subcontracted labor costs. So in this case, yes, if you have a third-party vendor, or if, for example, you for your services, right? For the photo sessions, you can link your third-party vendors, or maybe your independent contractors, maybe because your company can't afford your photographer, so you have to go reach out another company who can provide these professional photographers for you at a rate. And in this case, yes, you can use that to link your expense and link your income at the same time, right? Because you can bill your customer for the service, but at the same time, pay off your third-party vendors as an expense. All right, that's the cool feature about that too. So let's go ahead and take a look at creating custom orders for a particular person. So here we are. Now this is Maria Cruz, okay? And she asks for a special custom camera from us, okay? Because since she's going to already have the photo session set up, she said, I want you to use the best of the best camera out there. So I'm going to pay for the camera itself. So now we need to go ahead and create an item that can be able to create this customized part. So in this case, we're doing a non-inventory part because we don't get a custom camera all the time. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and enter that information in. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and save and close. So first things first, we're going to go to our item list, right? Anywhere that you can go, whether it is through the home page or through lists, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and create that new item, okay? Once again, it's going to be considered a non-inventory part because we don't really treat it as inventory. We're not going to keep track of it because it's a custom camera, okay? So there we go, non-inventory part. And here I'm going to go ahead and put the description is going to be a custom camera, right? So whatever the customer wants, okay, the customer is going to request it. And, you know, again, a custom camera, I mean, they can pick any type of camera out there that's in the book. So it could be a Nikon, a Canon, the Fiji, right? They have a whole bunch of different type of cameras out there that exist. So in this case, it's based on what the customer wants. Right? Now, this is also very important that you do check mark because in this case, I want to use this as a two-sided item. So you do need to say that this item is going to be used for either purchase for a specific customer, okay, or job. Yes, we are. Okay. Other ones that you'll see is this part. This part is part of an inventory assembly, or it's going to be something that you're going to use as a reimbursable expense for. It will, believe me, they'll have a whole bunch of listings on there that you can check mark. But once you check mark this, the form expands out because now you're creating the two-sided item right here by linking an expense, but at the same time linking your sales price. Okay. So very first thing here is going to be custom camera. Okay. And okay. And now the cost. Since it's a custom camera, you can't determine what the customer wants, and every camera is going to have a different price point. So in this case, we're going to leave this section alone. However, we're going to use cost of goods sold. Okay. And in this case, if you have a preferred vendor, so if you have a specific vendor in mind that purchases all the cameras for you, then you could go ahead and place it here. So in this case, we only have one vendor, which is Ace Supply, right? Now, sales price point, once again, we don't know how much it's going to cost us. So we're going to leave this selling price point afterwards because that's where we can choose to either mark it up or whether we could choose to add a specific percentage. Okay. All right, and then once again, tax code, yes, because they're buying a custom camera. It's a product, so it's definitely going to be taxed. And your sales account or the income account is going to be sales. Okay. So now that I created my custom camera account with all the details I need in there, I'm going to go ahead and click OK. Okay. So then now I'm going to go ahead and start off first with my purchase order. Okay. Okay. So now we're going to actually create that purchase order so we can purchase this camera for Miss Maria Cruz. Okay. So first things first, okay, I clicked on purchase order. I'm going to buy my cameras from Ace Supply. Class is gonna be, I think she's from San Jose. All right, let's double check. Oh no, Walnut Creek. Okay, Maria is from Walnut Creek. All right. So again, we're gonna go through the vendor first, and then we deal with the customer afterwards. Okay. So again, same day. PO number, you could do whatever number that you want. In this case, I'm going to make this as PO 2025-1. Right? And now I'm going to go ahead and insert the item that I want. In this case, it's going to be a custom camera. Okay? And then in my description, I'm going to actually say she wants the Nikon D800 digital SLR. Okay, she wants that specific camera. And I can change the description whenever I'd like because in this case, this custom camera could be anything. In this case, the description here is I'm purchasing the Nikon D800 digital SLR camera. Okay? And how many she wants? I believe she just wants one. Okay? And then with that, it's going to cost, I think it's going to cost, yeah, so it's right here. It's going to cost me for one of those $1,100. All right? So that's how much it's going to cost me. All right? And then it says you just changed something on the item. Do you want to save this? No. Because a custom camera, once again, depending on what they want from us. In this case, she wants this specific camera. And this is where I'm going to go ahead and link Maria Cruz to this particular part. So there you go. I click on Maria Cruz, branch opening. Okay. And the amount is for the $1,100. Once again, if you need to make a note to the vendor, you can. In this case, I'm going to say one Nikon D800 digital LSR camera. Okay. And now I can go ahead, save and close. Okay. So now I sent my order in to Ace Supply, and now they're going to process that order and deliver it to me. So once again, since I used the purchase orders feature, I have to go now and receive it. And this time, I'm going to receive it with the bill. Okay. So here, I'm going to click receive it with the bill. And I'm going to note that this is for Ace Supply. Once I hit that, it tells me I have a purchase order pending. And I'm going to say yes. And it's going to be for this camera. And I'm going to click OK. So now, this is on my end, okay? This is on my end that I am going to make a payment for this camera. Now this person, right, A Supply gave me some terms. So if I wanted to, I can go ahead and even take advantage of that because once again, Miss Maria Cruz is going to reimburse me for it. But I'm not, if I don't want to wait until she reimburses for me for it, because if I gave Miss Maria Cruz some terms too, she could take the very last of the day to pay off her bill. And here, if I have the money, I can pay for it in advance and take a discount. So I can get the camera for a lot lower, but have Miss Maria Cruz pay for it in full. All right. So that's that there. Okay. So here I'm being billed for that for that 1100, and now we have everything here. All the information that I placed in here is all here, including the description. So it carried over from my purchase order. So it tells me right here that I got the Nikon D800. Okay. And here's the one thing that we need to make sure. Maria Cruz is in the customer and job section. And I made it billable. Okay, so that means when I process this bill, right, it's going to start now. I'm going to bill it and pass this bill along to Miss Maria Cruz. Okay, so now I'm still pending on this bill. Save and close. Okay, so that now that I have that camera for Miss Maria Cruz, I'm now going to go ahead and turn around and I'm going to bill her for that because I bought that camera for her. So there you go. I'm going to go ahead and enter in my information saying that the customer that I'm going to be billing is Miss Maria Cruz for the branch opening. And here is my billable window. Okay? And I will click OK. And now let's check it out. I have nothing under time. I have nothing under expenses. I have nothing under mileage, but I do have one thing in my items. Okay? I have it right here. All right? And I believe we are going to tack on a postage feature because they actually for me to ship it out to her, I'm going to charge her for a postage fee. So here it is right here for the $1,100. Now, this is where you have the choice. You can choose to mark it up right here or on the sales form itself. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to do it on the sales form. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click OK. So there, right now, she's pending at $1,100. Okay, I'm going to fill in the rest of the information. So we got Walnut Creek. Okay, the date is fine. We got to change this because it's supposed to be 2025-107. Okay, and then now that I have, oh, where did it go? Oh, I didn't click on it. Okay, so go back up here, go up here. I'm going to click on the items. So I'm going to make sure I check mark it and then click OK. So now it appears on my sales form. Okay. Now, this is what it cost me, right? All right. And then other things I could add in here too is going to be one postage and delivery because I'm shipping this camera out to them. Okay. Did I not create that other charge? Okay. Oh, I think I was supposed to make it an expense account. Okay. We could go back and do this. So in this case, I think I forgot to put it on the billable feature. Let me see. Let's go back in our book. Okay. We were supposed to, but I didn't actually bill her for it. So I actually have to go back to that because I have to include the shipping and stuff for that. So in this case, hold on here because I made a mistake. I was supposed to actually add in something in the bills. So I'm going to go back to that real quick. So I'm going to click no for now. I have to create that expense first.
Yeah. Oh, you have to create or you have
Yeah,
to
because in this case, on the bill, okay, so if I click, no, that's not going to work. I remember I did this already. So I'm going to go back to that Ace Supply one more time to go back to that bill. Okay, and go back to this bill. So I need to click all transactions. Okay, and I'm going to click on this bill right here that I didn't have a reference on. So here on this bill, what I was supposed to do is I was actually supposed to create that extra expense item because they charged me for postage, right? And I believe they charged me, let's see.
You have too many steps. The book is jumping.
So I'm supposed to add the postage expense for $18.95. Okay. That's what I'm supposed to add here. And what happens is so that means this person, or I'm sorry, not this person, whatchamacallit, a supply charged me for this. And I'm going to forward this to Miss Maria Cruz branch opening, and I'm going to have Miss Maria Cruz bill for this because I'm not going to pay this $18.95 because that is something that I'm going to pass it forward to Miss Maria Cruz. So this is what I was supposed to enter into the bill itself. All right, and I'm going to go ahead, save and close, and I'm going to click yes.
One question.
Mm-hmm.
If we added an expensive right on the left of the items,
Mm-hmm.
it will change or it's the same? And the book is showing like in expenses.
Yes, because because this is not an item that I created. This is an expense, right? And they tell you to add this in there. So I forgot that. So sorry, guys. So now I'm gonna click yes. All right, and I'm click OK. So then now, when I go ahead and go forth to bill Miss Maria Cruz, I can go ahead and bill her for everything. So let's see what it says right here. Okay, the transaction is linked to others. Are you sure you want it? Yes. Okay. Okay. I clicked yes. It's not changing it. Okay, you must assign an account for this transaction. There, I didn't put that in there, so thank you. Okay. So now I'm gonna save and close. Yes. Okay. Yes. Okay. Okay, this transaction, okay. Yes, I already linked my account. Transaction is required in an amount that is the top of the. So in this case, this changed to, all right, can someone do a calculation here? What is 1,100 plus $18? Okay, so it's gonna be 11,1895. Okay, save and close. Okay, there you go. So then once I have that, so I linked both the delivery charges and the bill for the camera for Maria Cruz. So then now this is what the book says. So your book should be now more accurate. Okay. If I click on Maria Cruz, I get this window and I'm going to click OK. So now I have one item and one expense. And I'm going to go ahead and drop both of them into my form. So item first, okay, expense afterwards, okay? So then now I'm going to click OK. And now it's going to populate both items on here. So first it's going to be the camera that we charged or that we bought for Miss Maria Cruz. And then we're going to have Miss Maria Cruz get a charge for $22.74 for the shipping. Okay? Now here's this. Because what we can do on our sales form is, hey, it took us a lot of labor to go ahead and purchase that that camera for Miss Maria Cruz. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually mark up the actual value of the camera, so then I get a cut of percentage profit out of it instead of taking an entire loss. Because in this case, she's going to reimburse me for it, but I want to make a profit off of this reimbursement because she used me as the middleman to go ahead and process and pay for this this camera. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to come right here into the rate, or in this case, the price. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to activate my my quick math. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to mark her up, I believe 50% is what the markup is. Say the camera and expense postage, and I'm going to mark it up 50%. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to activate it by putting in one of my keys here. So again, I don't want to divide. So let me exit out of this. Divide by 1. All right, so come back here. So we're going to do that again. So how to activate it, once you're in this window right here, you don't need to retype it. You just enter in your symbol. So in this case, I'm going to do 1.5. So that means I'm going to add the markup to the actual cost itself. And this is where I'm okay to press the enter key. Okay, so by marking her up 1.5 times, that means I'm going to charge her I'm going to charge her $16.50 for the camera, where it only cost me $1,100. So I'm charging her 50% markup because I can, and she used me as a middleman to get this camera for her. So there, now your window matches your picture in the actual book itself, right? Here, I marked up my camera by 50%, and I add in the reimbursable expense to charge for the shipping. So then now I'm going to go ahead and say thank you, Maria, for your business, okay? And I'm going to say right here in the memo, it's going to be the custom camera Nikon D800 digital SLR and delivery charges. Okay, I can do that. All right, once again, season Walnut Creek. Now I could use a PO reference number. So in this case, my PO reference number was PO number 2025-1. Okay? And here, I also give Miss Maria Cruz the opportunity to make a payment to me and receive a discount. So this is exactly why I marked it up even higher, because she could get a discount off of this. And if she could take a discount off it, 2% is actually a pretty high discount, especially if her total bill is $1,808. All right? So that means she can get a discount, and I can get a discount because I could pay for that camera within my terms, right, that they gave me. So once this looks good, this is how you can buy an item for a particular customer pass the bill along and have the customer pay for it with an additional markup, because you can do that. Okay? Any questions there?
No.
Okay? All right. Okay, so next one is going to be using the item for a subcontractor situation, right? If you have, for example, in Imagine Photography, right? We have a category where you can, for one photo shoot, instead of having Mike take all the pictures, right? And let's say you want pictures in all angles, or pictures of the event, like you want pictures taken of the crowd, taking a picture of the person on the stage. For whatever reason that you need multiple photographers for, you can, and we do in Imagine Photography, do have a independent contractor called East Bay Photographers, okay? And they basically, if they need more photographers on hand, they can send us out, and they charge $75 per cameraman. So what I can do here is that I can link all of my photographers to those third-party vendors or my independent contractors, so then as I record that I'm getting a purchase for a photographer, right, it's going to automatically link and bill my my independent contractor. So with that being said, so here it is, tracking for subcontractor expense. So the first thing we're going to do is we got to ensure that the photographer item is going to be selected for that that independent contractor, and make sure that I assigned them to this particular service. Okay, so if I go to my photographer, right, this is where I can double click and it will edit the item. I'm just confirming that I made this as an assembly, all right? And I'm going to make sure that my cost has the associated vendor. In this case, I did not link my vendor here. So in this case, the vendor that I am linking this to is going to be East Bay Photographers. Okay, those are my independent contractors that agree to do any photo shoots depending on my request. If I want them, now let's take a look. For their price rate, they only cost $75 an hour per photographer. But what I charge, if you're going to go through my company, I'm going to charge already a marked up value, saying that this service for me getting a photographer to come out there is going to be $125 per person per hour. Okay? So there you go. And then now that I have this, I'm going to click OK. Right? So now that I linked my photographers, okay, to my independent contractors, now I can go ahead and formulate a bill. Okay, let's say they completed the job and now they can go ahead and they're billing me for it. All right, so I could go ahead and enter a bill, okay, because they're charging me now because I asked them for their service. So they're asking me to pay for for them to come out. And let's say the person I'm going to do is going to be East Bay Photographer. So all the information fills in. Now let's see what each photographer was for. Okay, so the very first item here. Okay, so I need to be on items. Let's see. First one is going to be for a photographer. We had 6 of them for the Maria Cruz branch opening. Okay. So here the item once again was photographer. Okay, photographer, right? We had 6 of them. Okay. And we're going to go ahead and bill Maria Cruz branch opening for that. Because they wanted 6 people, 6 photographers there. I'm going to ensure that that was true. Okay? And once again, they belong to Walnut Creek. Okay? And they also did another project. So they're going to combine to me saying, hey, we have multiple people that we did services for. All right. So there you go. Put another photographer. And this time, Bob wanted 15 of those photographers. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and send that bill to Bob. All right. And I'm going to make, okay, a cancel. I typed in wrong. There you go, Bob Mason. All right, and boom. And this was for San Jose location. Okay. So here, East Bay is now coming to me and saying that they're going to bill me for these photographers that I requested. Okay. And then now I'm going to go ahead and save and close. Okay. And then now, since I have that, right, I recorded the bill. I'm going to pass that bill along to have my customers pay for that. I'm going to create another invoice, right, and say, hey, Maria Cruz, since you wanted six photographers, I'm going to have you pay for that. All right. So once again, it says that you have a billable feature in here. I click OK. And now it's going to be considered an item. All right. And here we go. I have it for the photographers for 6 of them. And I'm going to go ahead and click yes. Now notice this. All right. They only charged me $75 for each photographer. In this case, on my sales form, I'm saying my services for getting a photographer on your site, it's going to cost you $125. So in this case, I've already pre-marked up my selling price to make a profit off of it. Okay, so in this case, I don't need to adjust anything here because my price point already has the markup value to it. Okay, and there you go. I had a subcontractor bill me, and I said I'd pass that bill along. So then now Maria Cruz is responsible to pay for this for the 6 photographers. Okay. All right. Any questions there? No? No questions?
No, I think everybody's good.
Okay. Okay. So like I said, now you're noticing a trend, right? You can do one. Just make sure that whoever you're going to pass this bill along to, and then when you open the invoice, that little window should pop up, and you just select those items, and then you figure out whether you want to mark them up or use the markup feature. So only expenses has the markup feature. For items, you have to mark that up yourself or put it on the sales form for whatever it is. Okay. So that is how we use two-sided items to bill for expenses. So that was just one section that we got to take a look at. Actually, 2 sections because we got to take a look at how we use the account and set it up for reimbursable expenses. And we also got to take a look at how we use that to build our items, which we can also bill as well. So the last 2 sections that are left is understanding how we can use time to bill somebody, and the last one is to use mileage to bill somebody. All right, so let's talk about time. All right, because time is it's a fun one, and this one you can actually use as a means for your payroll system. Okay. So when we talk about time, every person that does a service, right? You can choose to have the customer be billed for the time of the person to provide the service, right? You can do it that way instead of doing an item and then having us pay for the customer themselves. So if for any reason that you need to or want to reimburse your employee for their services, you're going to use the time feature. Right? So once again, this could be also double featured for the payroll system. Okay. So let's take a look. We need to start first by activating time in our QuickBooks. And in this case, so it's in the very same exact section, right? Because we looked at time and expenses. This time we're going to be looking at just the time feature and making sure that we have it checked marked as the question, do you keep track of time? And it is right now on. All right. And how would you know? If you look down under your employees, you should have this little icon here, which allows you to enter in time. Okay. That's how you know your time, you are going to keep track of time. Okay. So now let's go ahead and take a look here. So time. So in order for you to be able to keep track of those times, right, it's going to be based on your employees, right? Your employees is going to keep track of their own time and submit to you to tell you how much time they invested in each person's project. So the person that we're going to be taking a look for is going to be one of our employees, Mr. Mike Mazowski, I don't know, okay? So right here, we're going to see this little tab right here, or this little down arrow, and we're going to click on it. And what it shows us here is that you can either enter in time one at a time, okay? If they're doing multiple projects or multiple features, you can separate each one, all right? Or you can enter it in as a weekly timesheet. And that's what we're going to do here. We're going to actually enter in the employees' timesheets using the weekly timesheet, right? That's not the only way that you can enter in time, right? You can go right up to the employees window up here, menu, and you can enter time this way as well, all right? And it'll give you the same features too. You want to do it as a weekly, enter time as a single activity or as a weekly. And in this case, I'm going to go down to the bottom and just click weekly. All right, weekly. So then this is the timesheet that they provide you, okay? Pretty straightforward. You're just going to enter in what that person did, and then you're going to toggle on those dates what hours that they contributed or what hours did they do, okay? First off, we're going to start off by locating the exact person. So in this case, we are looking at Mike Mazowski, okay? Now, here's something that you need to know. Whoever's timesheet that they're putting in here, obviously, is going to be their own person. So if Mike Mazowski wants to be paid, he's going to be submitting to you his timesheet, not the other way around. You're not going to do it for him. But in this case, for this example, we're going to do it for him. All right. So now the date needs to be toggled because I believe they want you to do it as of January 13 of 2021, I believe. I'm sorry, 2025. So in this case, I can't type it in. So unfortunately, I do have to click forward for a while to find the January for 2025. Whoops, I went too far. So January year 2025, and this services was done on the 13th. Okay? So I meant not the services, but the week that I want to record his timesheet is going to be on from the 13th all the way to the 19th. Okay. So here we have it. Now his timesheet is ready to go ahead and fill. Now in your book, believe me or not, it's really distorted, but it's almost readable. Okay, the total amount of hours that we're trying to aim for is 40. So if you do your math, your numbers should match up to be 40 8-hour shifts. Okay, so just a little FYI there. But the very first thing that we're going to enter in for Mr. Mike Mazowski is that he did a staff meeting, or in this case, yes, he did a staff meeting and a project planning, okay, on Monday for 5 hours, okay? And you definitely want to make sure that you don't bill anybody, because you can't bill your own company, right? Because the company is going to pay you no matter what. You don't need to remind you because you're an employee. You don't need to bill anybody, okay? So first things we're going to start off is, was a customer job involved? No, there wasn't, because this was an in-house staff meeting. All right. Was a service item provided? No. What kind of pay rate does he get? He is an hourly regular. Okay. The notes or the memo here is a staff meeting and project planning. Okay. And he contributed 5 hours on Monday. Okay. Once again, because we have that feature where we selected that everything is going to be billable for every expense, you do need to go over here and make sure you click that to avoid an error message saying, hey, you have a billable expense, but you don't have someone to assign it to. So make sure you toggle that first, because once again, you're not going to bill your own company for your hours. You are already doing that by submitting a timesheet. All right. So that's the very first line there. Okay. Second line is that he contributed to Anderson wedding. So Anderson wedding planners. All right. What did he do? He did an indoor photo session. All right. And his pay rate, once again, he is hourly regular. And the note here is going to be wedding photo shoot. Okay. Now let's see how many hours he contributed to the Anderson wedding. He did on, hourly regular. Wednesday, wedding. Tuesday, he did 2 hours. Okay. So Tuesday, he did only 2 hours. Okay. And once again, you definitely want to bill Anderson wedding for that. Okay. All right. Good. So it's marked billable. Okay. Then the next person that we have here is going to be the Maria Cruz branch opening once again. Okay. Maria Cruz. Branch opening. Okay. And this one was an outdoor photo shoot. Okay. Once again, he's getting paid hourly. Okay, regular. And this one's going to be, now this is really difficult, but I figured it was site photo shoot. Okay. And let's see. Mike contributed on Tuesday. He did 6 hours on Tuesday. Okay. He did 3 hours on Wednesday. All right. And then he did 6 hours on Thursday. Yes. Okay? And once again, it's billable. Okay? Last person that Mike did services for is going to be Mr. Bob Mason. Okay? So there you go, Mason Bob. Okay? And he too did an outdoor photo session. Okay? Again, it filled in all for us hourly regular. The same thing here, it's going to be site photo shoot. Okay? Okay? And then let's see how many hours he did for Bob. He did for Bob, let's see, 3 hours on Monday. Okay? And then he did 5 hours on Wednesday. Okay?
2 on Tuesday,
2 on Thursday.
8 on
And
Friday.
8 on Friday. Okay? So he did a big, huge job for Bob Mason. It was almost every day of the week. So like I said, if we look at each column, 8 hours on Monday, 8 hours on Tuesday, 8 hours on Wednesday, 8 hours on Thursday, 8 hours on Friday, giving me a grand total, right? 40 hours. Okay? And here we note that Bob, Maria, and Anderson are all going to be billed. Okay? And now I can go ahead and submit my timesheet in here now. Ooh. Save and close. Okay. Now again, I'll talk about how you could print out your timesheets. I guess I'll talk about it now since chapter 10 or chapter 11 we'll talk about it because we're going to take a look at other people who have to turn in their timesheets. So we'll talk about timesheets in chapter 11 when we actually look at how your employees, they turn in their timesheets, how they can print it out and submit it to you, so on and so forth. Okay, so that whole section about printing timesheets you'll learn in chapter 11. Okay. So now that we have that portion done here, now we're going to now start to bill our customer for Mike's hours of services. So in this case, we're going to go ahead and open up that invoice one more time. Okay. And this time we're going to tackle, once again, Maria Cruz. Okay. Branch opening. Okay. And now you get that window once again. If it doesn't open right away, you just click on add time/cost. And I'm going to click OK. And then you're going to get this window right here. And then this time we actually have a time in here. So time, there are 3 availables that we had, right? Because we had Maria on Tuesday, Maria on Wednesday, and again, Maria on Thursday. Okay, so in this case, I'm going to go ahead and select every single one. Okay, now because I am billing them for these items right here, right, for the outdoor photo session, what happens is that you have a couple choices here, right? Because on Mike's form, he wrote that he was on the site and he did the photo shoot, right? So you have actually a couple options to how to convert time into an actual into the actual form. So whatever information you typed into the timesheet, you can go ahead and either choose what you want to display by clicking on these options. These options is going to allow you, do you want to transfer all the information from what the timesheet had onto Miss Maria's Cruz's invoice, or would you like to not do it? You want the item only, etc., etc. So this is what you could do to kind of help you make it a little more easier on yourself to fill out the invoice. But you want to be careful because maybe Mike put something on there that isn't as formal. But once again, the book tells you to just leave it alone. and just click OK, because you're just going to copy everything that Mike wrote on the timesheet and pass it on to the actual invoice. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK. So as we've mentioned before, right? Mike wrote that in the description, it was just a site photo shoot. And that's exactly what copied over into the timesheet. I'm saying copied over into the invoice. The items are still there. They're still the outdoor photo sessions. And here gives you the quantity, because in this case, the photo sessions are based on an hourly rate. So we're saying that they did 6 hours one day, 3 hours one day, 6 hours another day. Okay. And again, since our price points are already set, right? We set that every outdoor photo session is going to cost you a rate of $95 per hour. So in this case, everything looks good. And this is just how you can have someone submit their timesheet. And in this case, they're going to reimburse and pay for Mike for these hours. Okay, that's
And
one.
this doesn't matter the date.
Mm-mm,
Okay.
mm-mm, mm-mm. Because they have they should have already had the estimate that gives them the date that they want. Okay, do you remember that? Estimates give you the dates and then you transfer it over into an invoice. So they already know exactly what they wanted, right? This is just Mike saying, hey, this is another way that you could reimburse your employees instead of paying for them, right, on whatever hourly rate that they are at. You can have the customers pay for that. Okay, that's just another way of paying for your employees. But in this case, right, this is paying for their time, right? Any questions here? Once again, thank you for your business. Okay. You can put the dates down below. Or yeah, whatever it is. Okay, so 6 plus 6 is 12 plus 3, so 15 hours outdoor photo session on what was it, January 14 through January 16, because it was that Monday was 13, Tuesdays was the 14, Wednesday was 15, etc., etc. Okay, so in this case, if you want date driven or exact date right here, you could put in the memo. Okay, all right, save and close. Okay, let's see what this says here. Okay, the credit limit, yes, we know because we've been billing Miss Maria Cruz for this example. So yes, we know she went way over her capacity. All right, save and close. Okay. Any other questions in regards to billing time? Okay. Right. All right, perfect timing. Okay, it is exactly I'm gonna round to 3 o'clock. So what I'm gonna have you guys do is go ahead and go on your 15-minute break. I'll give you those extra 2 minutes, so please be back no later than 3:15. I'm sorry. Yes, 3:15. Okay.